What's up, YouTube? ODST Journal back again with some more Emergency 4. After watching a bunch of Alaska State Troopers, I just started watching it recently, and watching the Northern Alex play the updated version of this, which sadly this is not the updated version. I just had a hankering to play Emergency 4, and after a little bit of debate, I decided to go with the Rose of Brooklyn mod. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with this, this is one of the better mods for it. Now, one of the things that prevents it from being, I would say, the best mod for it is that it is prone to
extinguish all fires,
crashing and stuff like that. It's got some stability issues. As you guys saw, the camera is a bit buggy. Right here, I'm trying to go look at a fire, and I can't get across to it. Now, I'm actually recording this all in, all after I've already recorded this. I'm doing the audio afterwards because I recorded this video at like 2:30 in the morning, so I was really quiet. You could barely hear me. I tried boosting the audio afterwards, and it just it sounded really wonky, for lack of a better term. It didn't sound good at all. What we're going to do here is, because of the location of this fire, normally I would just, would actually dispatch units out from the map first, send out a chief, and then if I need more units, I would dispatch them out. But because this is right on the edge of the map, I'm not really going to play games with it. I'm just going to dispatch a few different engines out, and then just hope they can put it out from here. Because anything on the edge of the map like this is very difficult to get to. And it limits what I can do. Now, if you guys aren't familiar, kind of got cold going on, so I'm trying to fight that while talking too, after just having woken up to finish this video here. But if you guys are not familiar with the Boroughs of Brooklyn, everything in it's based off of real units from New York and Brooklyn. We're going to set up our cameras at a couple of our bigger fire stations. I was going to set one up for their squad, but I decided it would be better to set it up at the hospital since you go on a lot of medical runs. This version is very medical run oriented. You get more medical runs and place calls than you do fires, or at least you would normally. This episode I actually get a couple of, everything's big fires. That's all I got in this episode. Normally, like last time I played this, when I didn't record the gameplay, it was just medical call, medical call, medical call, medical call, fire, medical call, medical call, riding person, medical call. And it's, this episode kind of broke the mold as far as that's concerned, but, that's okay. I love the fires in this. Something I just found out when I was watching Northern Alex play here is that you can actually set up the SUVA inside the apparatus. You can take bunker gear on and off by clicking the button. We're going to rapid deploy them. Thankfully that is a feature as long as you're close enough to a hydrant. Now, something I've noticed is not all hydrants are actually operational. I don't know if that's intentional or what, but it kind of puts you in an awkward position because there's no tenders. So if you get engines and you only got like one hydrant in the area, then you're kind of screwed because that just it doesn't leave you with any alternatives other than saying, okay, we'll return to quarters and then come back once you've refilled with water.
Roger.
We've only got one of these three engines is actually hooked up.
Roger.
Well, Rapid Deploys only has one or two people actually hook up attack lines, which is fine. Like I said, it's very big on micromanaging. I know that's something a lot of people look for in their Emergency 4 games. A lot of people didn't like the automation of Emergency 5, and to be honest, after I've kind of played it more and more, and I'm kind of gotten used to the game.
Exploded gas pipe. Extinguish all fires, and if necessary, treat all casualties and take them away.
Though that all this micromanaging could be a little bit difficult for some people. So, we just got our first of their 2 really big fires. There's only two fires in this episode, and this is how it's a 45-minute long episode. So that's kind of unusual that there's only 2 fires. But once you guys see what these fires are like, you'll understand why that is. Sadly, I didn't get to carry the second one out the whole way. I hadn't really intended to record it, but it was a hazmat fire as my first one, which you guys will see more of when we get to that point. So with the sirens and stuff, you have to do all the activations of the sirens manually. Yeah, see, this is the fire I was dealing with, and in the original audio, I had actually just been talking before I got an alert as to where this fire was, about how there's like a lot of stuff that likes to explode in here, and that one fire in particular that I was dealing with the other day has all these cabs are really prone to exploding, and I didn't even notice that when that fire came up, that was actually the same place I was talking about. We'll open our bay doors here so our chief and our engine can leave. We'll turn on their lights while our firefighters go to get back in the vehicle. Turn on those sirens too. Just turn off these lights. Something that's a little bit buggy, I'm not a huge fan of, is if you highlight any of the vehicles that can't be manned, they will prevent you from moving your units. You also have to turn your unit's engine off and on, which, like I said, it's big on micromanaging, and that's cool sometimes, but then again, when you're like halfway across the map trying to get units in a rush because you have a massive fire like this, it's kind of a pain in the butt to be like, oh shoot, I forgot to turn the engine on, now I gotta go back and turn the engine on for this unit, and then this unit, and then I gotta highlight them because there's another car between the two. I can't just, drag and click. We're gonna rapid deploy out though. We got a hydrant here. And we're gonna pull our chief up off to the side so he's out of the way of all these people. And I'm gonna take our second engine. We're gonna pull him up here to this second hydrant. Does look like we have a lot of victims in the fire, at least just what I can see in this this dump or construction yard or wherever it's supposed to be, junkyard, I guess. Can't see if there's anybody in front of the cab company, but there is. Yeah, you can see him right there. We're gonna send one of our firefighters kind of in close to try and prevent that car from exploding next to the engine. While we get our second crew set up, we're gonna set up our police SUV here to stop any more traffic from wandering in and risking any more lives. One of the things I'm not a huge fan of, and this really killed me later on, is the fact that the PD cannot turn traffic away. They can stop traffic, but you can just do that with any car. They can't actually turn it away. They don't have a way of turning it around. Traffic cones might work, I don't know, but I kind of doubt it does. And so if you get gridlock, there's not really a whole lot you can do to fix that. I had a case, later in this video, and you guys will see because I look at it several times while trying to go around the map, where basically one car, I would assume, was trying to take a left turn, but because another person was trying to go through straight, it had blocked up the entire map. And I couldn't get engines through to this massive fire spraying around the entire block, and I couldn't get anybody out to them to put them out. So, here it is. Talked about the explosions. You guys can hear and see. It just rocked my screen. Something just exploded. That hydrant there. That's kind of my point. Is that hydrant over there is not operational. At least they're not close enough to use it, but I'm pretty sure it's just a non-operational hydrant. We're gonna want the MIRV out here too. we do have all those people in the junkyard. We got at least one Vic in front of the cab company, maybe more. It's still hard to tell with all that smoke, but we do have, you know, enough people that warrants it with all those people inside the junkyard. Not to mention all these bystanders and stuff we have just kind of gathering around. It's putting everybody into a really dangerous position. Another engine trying to get through up here. We're going to deploy this engine a little bit closer than I prefer to put him. That spot's proven kind of dangerous for me in the past, but it's got a hydrant up there right next to that opening in the gate. So we're going to place him up there. You guys are going to have to forgive me for a second here. I want to mute my mic so I can take a quick swig of water here. Now, one of my bigger issues is that I actually feel that I've never really gotten a chance to take advantage of all the units in this mod. I think partially that's because it's prone to crashing, so some of the rare stuff is almost, you know, impossible to see, because I feel like extended sessions you'd be more likely to see it, but because, you know, you get in there and then you know, your game crashes because you screwed up something on one of the ladder trucks or something. Makes it kind of sad, because there's really a lot of cool units in here, and I mean, you guys will see this later with the second emergency, but you know, when you don't do that, you're not familiar with the units or like every single apparatus in New York, it kind of puts you into a bad situation. So at this point we got most of the fire under control. I know it doesn't look like it, but it's just something kind of wonky going on. They won't put out the vehicle fires and those don't spread, so I don't know if those fires are actually existing or if that's just a bug with like the animation. We're going to take this engine's crew though, and we're going to have them start carrying victims over to the MRF.
Roger.
Unfortunately, it's getting dark out too, which is going to make any operation we're doing a little bit more difficult to deal with. Sadly, I've not really seen it. I mean, there's a couple that do it okay, I guess, but there's not really any mods that have floodlights on apparatus. And in Nerds RPG, the Arma mod, where I'm the EMS director, I'm really hoping that we can get floodlights on our engine. I gotta talk to Jonesy to see if that's a thing we can do. I brought it up at one point, but I'd really like that for nighttime operations, especially with how dark Arma tends to get. That'd be really nice to have that. The rest of our civilians over here, though, I mean, you guys can tell we got a ton of casualties. A lot of them are dead. I mean, you know, here you got our guys going out with defibrillators. I mean, I kind of expected that with how long they were there for. My response time was really poor as far as getting the MRV out there and getting the EMS treating these people. But at the same time, you know, like, you guys saw those explosions, and if that kept spreading, there would have been more explosions. I needed to get the street blocked off and try to stop as many bystanders and stuff from getting through there as I could. So I mean, arguably, it was just as important to stop the fire and stop the traffic as it was to try and save these people, because it would just put more lives at risk than was already at risk, you know. That's what I'm telling myself, at least. It's hard to believe that. But, you know, what are you going to do? I mean, there's not much else I can say. I did what I could to try and save those folks. One of the interesting things about this is that you can actually run across emergencies where a patient is dead. And there's nothing you could have done in the first place. This is the only mod that I know of right offhand that I can think of where I've actually seen that be the case, where it's like you pull up and that patient was dead right from the get-go. You weren't getting there fast enough to save him. And there was a few times where I played other games and the patient was dead because I got there, but it took me forever. This, I've head, you know, where I dispatch out immediately and the patient's dead by the time I get there. And it adds a cool element. Like I said, now they've got the crime scene thing going into the next version of the mod, so that'll be really cool. Another thing that makes it a little bit interesting is you got your Con Edison vehicle and your tow truck, and like the Con Edison vehicle is a fire department one, and your tow truck's manned by auxiliary cops. And then you got a moving van, and then of course just like a regular crane. Crane's nothing special. I like how that's like a moving van though, the engineer's van. But there's a ton of unique units. I mean, you guys can see, I mean, look how many different engines and stuff there is. This one right here, this is actually the only type of apparatus I've ever actually driven. This one's actually not the same, obviously, as the one I did when I was training to be a firefighter, but you know, obviously it's not the same as getting to drive an engine or something like that, but it would have been kind of cool. I mean, it was still awesome to get to drive that even. This looks interesting though. I haven't got a chance to use this. Like I said, there's a lot of units I have not used. I was pretty surprised to get the opportunity to use it later in this video though. I actually did. It came in fairly useful. So we're gonna start loading up the deceased into the MRV here. And you know, start covering the deceased in sheets here so that nobody has to see them. It's very traumatizing for all these emergency workers to have to deal with, like 10 deaths. I don't even know how many people were here. I didn't count it. It's too much of a glare on my screen, and it's too dark in the game for me to see how many people's actually dead right now, and I can't remember from last night. It's traumatizing though, that's my point. Very traumatizing, don't argue with it. We did manage to save one patient though, that's honestly more than I expected. Although I did have an issue, is that one of these supposedly deceased patients was still moving around, so I can't help but wonder if, you know, when they were showing his pulse and stuff, did they check on the like a 12 lead, or is that just them basically checking with like their hand and saying, oh yeah, they got a pulse, or they don't have a pulse, you know? I find it hard to believe that they'd have a 12 lead just sitting out there in the field taking vitals in that sort of situation here, you know. Just about loaded up. We just got a couple more people to take care of here. Looks like Nerds RPG with the body bags from Ace. Get our EMTs inside. We're pretty much good to go then. And that worked out perfect. We got all our guys, and we had just enough room for all the victims. It was beautiful.
It's done.
Get our tow truck out here. Start collecting the damaged vehicles because they're gonna block up traffic.
It's okay.
So we need to get those out of the way as soon as possible. We still have vehicles that got in there at the start of the fire. They've been patiently waiting there for me to clear the scene. And that fire truck
Medical
right
emergency. Someone is suffering from shock.
there. That
Treat
engine,
and remove.
it says it needs a chauffeur to disconnect it. This one I didn't know how to get out here, so this person's dead. So one of the soccer players is down up there on the field. You can see him. I don't know how to get into the soccer field because the whole thing seems to be fenced off. Thought I saw a gate along in here, but wasn't sure. I don't think, yeah, and there's that buggy camera launching me halfway across the map again. It's not the last time that's going to happen either here while I'm trying to look at this stuff. Yeah, see, there's nothing obvious in there. I mean, maybe somebody who's played this map before is like, oh, that's really obvious. Yes, it is. You're just an idiot. There's the camera again. At least it didn't launch me halfway across the map this time, I suppose. It looks really good, though, with the lights and stuff when you get all these units on the street. If you watch any of the promotional videos they put out for Brooklyn Mod, it looks like they just cram as many units, regardless of whether or not they need them, onto the map. So you get this entire street will just be crammed with as many engines as they can fit on it. Or, you know, like a side street. This is the main street, this is the biggest street, so it's not quite so bad here. But like those smaller streets, they're, you know, almost like one-way streets. It's really funny on there seeing these units get crammed on those. So we're gonna start putting our guys back in engines, though. Trying to figure out who goes where, because our guys got all mixed up going out and rescuing victims and stuff like that. You gotta remember which engine I have that goes over here. I was thinking it was 214, but it's 222. So we're gonna send him back to quarters, which unfortunately was a mistake, because as it turns out I was having issues with the engine up in the
10-4
junkyard. We'll just call it a junkyard. Like I said, I don't know what it's actually supposed to be, but we'll call it a junkyard. Anyways, I was having issues with the engine up there not wanting to disconnect from its supply line because it was saying it didn't have a chauffeur to disconnect. And I tried like a dozen people. Okay, that's exaggeration. You guys will see that too and you'll be like, that's not a dozen. But I tried, you know, a whole bunch of different people and none of them could disconnect. I actually went and checked on one of the other engines. I had somebody, you know, who should have been able to disconnect it, and they couldn't either.
Roger.
Tow truck is back. I did miss destroy taxi. I guess the destroy taxi just despawned, so that works.
It's done.
Yeah, we got our crew up here now.
Roger.
Now we play the let's try to fix something that is apparently broken. I didn't know it was broken game. Uh-oh, here comes a cat. He's trying to get past all the wires and stuff like that. He's blocking off the screen, can't see anything. Thankfully, this is just post-recording, otherwise this would be making gameplay
arrest
very difficult.
And remove. If necessary, treat any casualties and take them away.
Trying to be a famous YouTube star?
It's done.
You gotta put your head in the tissue box like Robin. If you wanna be famous.
It's okay.
Fame comes at a cost. You'll learn that one day. Okay, so we got a rioting civilian here, and thankfully he's actually just right down the road from our PD unit that we'd used to block off the road. Did get one person already. Now, in most mods you'd be able to just tell your unit to chase the guy and
Roger.
you know, woohoo, to get out, pull a gun on the guy, and he surrenders peacefully. That's not the case with this. Like I said, it's very heavy on the micromanagement, and you know, the policing is no exception to that.
Here we go.
Sadly, there's no, at least nothing that I've seen, no tasers. You can get like spike strips and stuff, but I've never seen the need for a spike strip either.
It's done.
EMTs are already on scene. The patient's only been down for a second here, so
Roger.
don't even need the one paramedic on there for too long. Get our person on a striker here, and we'll get them loaded up into the ambulance. And they're set to go, so we can return to the hospital. So I'm just, at this point, I'm just clicking anybody that looks different, because as far as I can tell, they're
It's okay.
not actually like listed as a chauffeur when you select them, just because of the way the names and stuff are set up in this. So if they don't look like a normal
Roger.
firefighter in their preview icon, I'm trying to use them for disconnect.
10-4.
It's like, okay, so that person doesn't work, but this guy's not wearing bunker gear either.
Almost there. Roger.
And now the cat's falling asleep.
It's done.
So yeah, and then like the SCBA, you can change them in and out of bunker gear inside the apparatus.
Almost there. 10-4.
Another cool feature.
Roger. Almost there. Almost there.
So at this point, I kind of just decided, screw it, we're going to, since this guy can't disconnect the engine at all, we're just going to throw these guys back in their respective apparatus here. We'll kind of mix it up so that's a little bit more even with who's where.
10-4.
And then we'll just put everybody into the truck and just leave the truck up here.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, so we're gonna actually return 222 to quarters here, send the other one back to HQ. Should have another 2 big fires, don't I? Yes, that's right. I had one other big fire and I was gonna quit, and then we had a third, so we actually had three big fires in that small building fire. PD surrounded by police department vehicles. Kind of checking out the signage in the city because there's a lot of really cool small signs. This person's, at least one of these people, is a big fan of GTA, and I'm actually looking for it. I think it was Manhattan mod had some, but this has a couple of Grand Theft Auto Easter eggs in here. That's one thing, the E. Cola, which is supposed to be like E. coli joke. That's from Grand Theft Auto, the fire door company. Not from Grand Theft Auto, but kind of a funny joke. At least I think I would assume it's a joke. Nails too, I think that's another Grand Theft Auto one. The 24/7 supermarket, that's definitely Grand Theft Auto.
Attention, arson in the operational area. Arrest the arsonist and take him away. Extinguish all fires.
No, maybe not. Maybe this fire just spread differently than I remember.
It's done.
Or maybe it's the last time I was playing that fire spread across the field. I can't remember now. But yeah, this is my first hazmat fire for Manhattan mod, or Brooklyn mod, I mean, not Manhattan mod. So yeah, I've never had a hazmat fire before, so I'm kind of going into this, you know, at the time of recording, I didn't really know what I was doing. Didn't totally know how to clear out the hazmat scenes and get rid of the hazardous material, other than, you know, presumably putting out the fire. But here we are, you know, we've got this TSU unit, so we're going to dispatch him out. We're going to dispatch out a different, yeah, I was reading the description there, I think. Cat's biting me. Rack's not really any good. Hazmat ops, of course we're going to want that one, which as it turns out is totally pointless in calling up because there's nothing that I can do that's
It's done.
hazmat related, ironically. The one firefighter inside of it doesn't have a hazmat suit.
Central, be advised, I'm 1097 in the area.
It's done.
It's at this point that things start to become really gridlocked.
Almost there.
10-4. It's okay.
Police caution tape, another thing I've never used.
No
If you look though, police have the options to call in a supervisor, I think call in an engine, I'm assuming that's what the 1082 is. You know, set up spike strip, set up
It's okay.
caution tape,
okay.
which a little bit wonky, I don't know how that works really, so I've got
10-4.
goes from the building, then it goes out to the cop car, but it might have just been the way I set it up. Looks cool ish. I actually do like emergency
No
5's caution tape. You can call it a mayday.
It's done.
That's 1045 is the engine. I said 1082, I think. You get your traffic vest. I'm trying to remember what the one on the right is.
Roger. It's done.
Try to block off as many people as we can. Our hazmat ops apparatus is on scene now.
It's okay. Roger.
I didn't
10-4.
realize there was a second vehicle for decons, so I sent this out. And it'll be really obvious here in a minute. So see, you've only got the option
10-4.
for bunker gear with this guy, which doesn't really make any sense. So I'm
Roger.
thinking, okay, well, since this is my first hazmat call, maybe the way they have it set up is that for some reason they don't have any like unique hazmat stuff. Maybe it's just set up with the bunker gear for some reason. So I'm like, okay,
Roger.
well, I'll send the guy in with the bunker gear and we'll test out the waters.
It's okay.
Obviously, that was the wrong choice. So I call him back, and I'm like, okay, well, now I need to treat this guy. So I'm like, maybe he can go into the decon vehicle for treatment. Also not the case. So I'm like, great, what do I do now? Well, as soon as I start going away from the fire, his
10-4.
hazmat thing disappeared. He just no longer, you know, infected or whatever you want to say. Second truck's here.
10-4.
We're gonna have these guys. They also don't have any hazmat suits that they can use, so we're gonna have them start collecting the contaminated patients here. And we gotta start looking at some other units. And right above our hazmat ops, I totally missed this, is a decon unit. So I wanted to set it up right there. Because this is where I was staging out of. Unfortunately, at this point, the traffic was already backed up around the map.
10-4.
Now, that might have just been because of where I blocked off the roads and ended up affecting
Roger.
the rest of the map. That's totally
Roger.
possible. But with there being, you know, hazardous material and stuff in the
10-4.
middle of the street, obviously I don't want a bunch
Roger.
of people driving through there between that and the fire. And the fire's spreading. It's already gone to the bus station here, so we need to start trying to get apparatus out. Unfortunately, roads are blocked off.
Roger.
At least partially blocked off. I did manage to get my decon unit through soon enough to get it out here, but that was like the last unit that made it through, and just barely so. I actually had to go up and around on the other side and couldn't get down to where I wanted it to go, so from this point out we're basically operating with a single engine.
Roger.
But that's okay, and do you know why that's okay? Because my game ends up crashing in about 10 minutes from now. A little bit more, obviously, but pretty darn close. So yeah, the fire, you know, we've got all this hazardous material right now. So at this point in time, we've got 2 victims in there. The fire's, you know, going quite steady with no signs of stopping. And it's spreading hazardous material around. So my decon unit's working on pulling up, but it looks like he actually
Almost there.
might have gotten stopped by my own engine. Now that I'm looking at the mini-map, obviously I was doing other things at the time, but didn't notice that. Yeah, he's trying to make it through by my other engines in the area, so he keeps bouncing back away. I do got traffic there too, so it could have been either that stopped him at that point. Yep, there he goes right there. You got Hazmat 1 and Hazmat 2. I like Hazmat 2 a little bit more, to be honest. Oh, I did manage to call a field comm unit too, because the way he came in, because of where I called him.
Central, be advised, I'm 1097 in the area.
Why? Just because I planned on calling out more engines for these spreading fires, and I just thought it'd be cool to have a field comm unit. So we're gonna call in whatever engines we have available, because this fire's spreading around the city and it's all over the place.
Central, be advised, I'm 1097
And we're just gonna kind of spread them out a little bit here. Big black plumes of smoke everywhere you look.
Central, be advised,
I'm
I'm
gonna call him
1097
in there. If we need to, we'll move him closer to that fire. But like I said, it doesn't matter because all these guys end up blocked off anyways.
Central, be advised, I'm 1097
Maybe one engine made it through somehow. I'm not even sure where he got through at. We got the other engine, but he's still stuck. Had I been smart, we just bailed all those firefighters out, have them grab extinguishers and run over there, but not doing me any good. Now, right here's where I thought my culprit was, and I gotta assume that's actually still the case, because that's the only spot that seems like things shouldn't have worked like they were. Is the cab on the right there. Won't go forward. The car and behind him is stuck, and then the vehicle there in the middle of the intersection is stuck because of that. So, yeah, right now I'm at this point though where I don't have any firefighters that have hazmat suits. I'm trying to find a place to set this up. I wanted to get him down here still to stage over here. You know, maybe some up in the parking lot, or just setting him up right in the road there, but it wasn't working out. I was gonna just stage him right on the road up at the top, but it was so cramped, and you know, with the location right next to the building and crowds of people there, I thought better of it, and so I decided to move him to the hospital, which, as it turns out, is an excellent staging area. Just putting that out there. If you guys need to ever stage up by the hospital for a chemical attack, it's a good place to stage. So you got a fire over here. You know, our three of our engines we've called in are stuck. Trying to get around, but they have no way of getting through all this traffic. It's too heavy for them to fit anything through. If I had to explore for a while, I probably could have figured out a way to get them around somehow. Yeah, and there's our fourth engine up there. But yeah, I didn't see it. I didn't see the option.
Almost there.
Another, I think my comm is trying to go up and around a different way. Just tried to go forward a few times into the engine that was by the bus station. Stops, you see the red dot kind of stopped this time.
You have another run for us, Brooklyn?
A negative, check the status. 1018 on box.
My comm scene's right in front of me, so there was another engine that was another engine that was trying to go through then. See, I'm paying more attention to the mini-map now, because that's the part I didn't see during gameplay, so instead I pay attention to this. Thankfully, my comms unit, they have hazmat suits for some reason, which is fantastic. It really is. So we're going to get these guys loaded up. We're going to carry the contaminated victims up there. We got our other two victims, but they're not really going to do us anything useful here. And also, these guys have hazmat suits too. I don't think they didn't have the option for hazmat suits before.
Go ahead.
but that's okay. We're gonna get them out, and we're gonna have them go up and around too, along with these other guys in hazmat. We're gonna get these victims treated. Hopefully, start work on them.
The Avenue and DeKalb Avenue. Automatic alarm and multiple phones.
So this hazmat vehicle, like I said, this is the first time I used it, and it's got a really awesome deploy. Most of the other hazmat vehicles I've seen, when they deploy them, they really don't do anything special. Maybe they'll pop out a tent or something like that, but nothing that really stands out and makes them special. This, you get a couple strikers that lay out, and you've got some tubes and stuff coming out of it. It's really cool watching it.
Central be advised, I'm
We'll call in what I'm guessing is part of a private ambulance company or something.
It's okay.
I'll set him up down here near the loading bay.
Roger.
Roger.
Traffic's still blocked up, still can't get my engines through. So at this point I'm like, God, what do I do? How do I move these vehicles here? Because this traffic's preventing me from properly fighting this fire. I'm like, oh, maybe if I call in a cop car, I can move them.
Central be advised, I'm 1097.
So I call in this black Crown Vic patrol car, cool car,
Roger.
quite unique in its own right. The the emergency for pathfinding at its finest hour right here. Hazmat truck for some reason is trying to back up down the road. Just popped around there, so he's finally working, but even then going forward he's still having issues going through, so we gotta try and like steer him a little bit, steer him, change direction, go forward, change direction, go forward.
It's done. It's okay.
And we're gonna install right here next to where the
Almost there.
ambulances would set up. It looks like we've got
Almost there.
a couple of cones and like some sort of cord or something going from them to the hazmat vehicle. Like I said, we've got our strikers too. We're just going to carry these guys right up through here and have them get in the decon unit. We're going to go through a crowd of people, but I don't think they have any way of getting affected while we're carrying these people. Patrol car's on its way up.
It's okay. Roger.
Looking at it, I could have probably snuck my engines up through there if I'd pulled them up on this road now and gone through. Got my cop out. Trying to do anything to see if I can maybe trick this guy into going here. So I'm like, okay, maybe if I get a traffic vest. Well, I go to put the traffic vest on. I'm like, waiting. I'm like, oh, cool, it worked. And then my guy disappeared and now the cop car's stuck, causing the same issue all over again. So at this point here, we got about 3 minutes left in the video. Now, honestly, what happens here is that we freeze up. We'll dispatch out another cop car here to try and get rid of that one. We'll send out a second officer with them, and hopefully they can get in that cop car and move it, and we'll get traffic flow going. At least that was my hope. Like I said, we're about to freeze up, though, so it doesn't really matter what I do here. 3 of our patients are decontaminated. Just gotta get the 4th guy who didn't go in for some reason. And now we'll get the 2 paramedics to work here.
It's okay.
Almost there. Go ahead.
And the first patient's dead. That patient's alive, but barely. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna check this 3rd guy here.
Go ahead.
And the plan was to move all our hazmat firefighters down. I was gonna move my engine that was down by the bus stop up and around to put out the hazmat fire so I could start moving units through that road. get that unblocked off and hopefully get some flow of traffic going so I could start moving apparatus again.
It's done.
Yeah, so it took me a little while though, but I mean, you know, you're just starting to move it. And then we freeze right around here somewhere. I don't know.
Roger.
Not quite yet.
It's done.
So, you know, continuing treatment of our patients. We're going to drop them off in the ambulance and then just have the ambulance go as the plan. Yep, there's the freeze. Alright guys, well, I appreciate everybody taking the time to tune into the channel. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and if you guys have any questions about it, make sure to put it in the comments. Alright, thanks for tuning in.